蛮大，一直都是一个非常有创业精神的那时候做一个创业精神的年轻人。然后，那么在从97年以来，从事房地产，在经过将近20年的努力，压成一个成功的房地产开发商、房地产工程建筑商。那么在这个最近我看到他要参选这个John Spring City Council，文章中他曾经有一段话，我觉得非常认同，也很赞赏。他说，就说人生的成功，人生的成功，是个无可考虑，应该说是可变的。那对于每个人来说又不一样。那么他的以前，他已经从一个单纯追求人生成功，那么已经进入到一个追求有意义的人生。所以我觉得这句话非常有意思。那么究竟怎么讲？我想，希望他来跟我们分享。好，我们热烈欢迎这位先生。
I'm going to be honest with you, when I first got invited to share some of my thoughts with you, I was somewhat intimidated. In case you didn't notice that this is a meeting for IT Association. And IT people, for construction guys like me, means smart people. And if that's not bad enough, a group of IT Chinese people, that makes it even worse. So, but after a few days, I kind of overcame the fear. I was somewhat intimidated by you guys, but I think it's important in order for you to reap the most benefit. I need to be vulnerable and I need to be transparent. So instead of talking about success, I think it's important for us to understand failure. I will probably talk a little bit more about failure than success. Is the mic working okay? Yeah. Thank you. I borrowed this, a friend of mine, one of my mentors, 20 years ago. He wrote a book. It's called Victory Over Shattered Dream. And I just absolutely love the name of it because for most of us, a journey to success is not an easy road. And I want to first commend you that I know that for most of you that you're here, you're in the right place, and also that I know the reason that you're here today is because you're going places. You are not someone who content with where you are. You are someone who want to achieve and to be the best that you can be. And I am too. But a lot of times that journey is never easy. Like he said, success is a moving target. There's no two individuals will be able to give the same definition about success. It's a moving target. However, failure is something that it's a negative emotion that for most of us, at some point in our life, that we're going to have to deal with. And how do we deal with failure? I like to use a true story. What happened back in 2007. As most of us know that between 2007, I said 2008 2008 to 2012, we had a near disastrous depression. So at the end of 2007, 2008, we were doing working on the subdivision, doing the developing and the building. And at that time, I remember that was one September, one day in September, I received a phone call from our loan officer. And basically, the conversation goes like this. Jay, we got a new lending guideline that whatever that you guys, your line of credit, what you have on the ground as a builder and developer, when we say what we have on the ground is what we already built, whatever that we already built, will be the top limit of what we are going to be able to extend. And I was somewhat puzzled because, we've been a very good paying client for the bank. And I can still remember back in 2003 and 2004 that we have loan officers come to the subdivision and ask us to make a loan. But I just want to tell you this. If you're in any business, capital is important, but a lot of times that getting a loan or borrowing money, the bank is very good at giving yourself a longer road to hang yourself. So whenever you get a chance, be diligent and also try to be cautious about extending the credit. We weren't that way because we have always been very conservative. Pretty much 35 to 40% loan to value is what our operating model, that we just don't extend ourselves that far out. So to make a long story short, that at the end of that phone call, I was devastated. Why? Because we just don't have that the capital. If the bank doesn't loan you additional capital, what you have to do is build out of cash, which for any developer or builder will be very, very difficult. So I was devastated. And out of that, I want to tell you, 4 years later, which I will touch on that in a little bit, if that didn't happen back in 2007, 2008, whatever the end of the story that I'm going to tell in 2012 and 13 would not have happened. So, to give you a little bit about background about myself, I was born and raised in Taiwan and went to college there. I moved here to Atlanta back in '87 and came to the United States in '86. I was born in a very, very loving family, and a pretty big family too. My father has 9 siblings, and one important remark that I'd like to say is that out of 4 generations from my dad from my grandfather to my son, these 4 generations that we have total of 33 medical doctors out of this family, and it's pretty impressive to me. However, ever since I was in grade school, I've been treated like a black sheep because I have been an average C student. I was never a good student. And I remember that when my sister, I have 2 sisters. They're doing pretty good in school, and they always have those pencils. If you made it to the top 10, the teacher will give you those pencils, and he says, "Good student pencil for you to take home." But I was never able to make the top 10. I was always struggling, trying to stay out of the bottom 20. So, yeah, school is a struggle for me, and that's why I admire people like you. I'm sure most of you are A students when you were in school. So being in a family as a black sheep, I was very, I knew that I was not able to achieve academically. So I've always been very entrepreneurial. You know, even when I was in high school and when I was in college, I always liked to be in the business for myself. I dreamed about being an entrepreneur, even back in the school year. Coming here in 1987, I have involved in sporting goods importing, grid and countertop fabrication, photo finishing business, automotive aftermarket parts importing business, and then I was in an outdoor furniture reselling. We were dealing with Amish people, so we kind of market their Amish-made furniture. I was a retaining wall contractor, and then turned into a concrete contractor. And after concrete contractor, I figured, you know, when the weather is bad, we need to start work inside. So I was a renovation contractor, and then I became a builder. So it's a long list of crossing industry. I've realized that in the last, the first 15 years, I was searching for the right one to tap my time and my energy into. And starting in 1996, after I got involved in the construction industry, I just absolutely loved it. I was able to go from place to place and to meet different people, and that just makes my personality fit exactly what I love to do. So, going back to talking about the success and failure, I want to say this, that the difference between the average people and the achieving people is their perception and their response to failure. Some people will get, after they have a sense of failure, they just quit. And I can tell you that that would be the worst thing to do. Quitting is never an option for me. And there's a famous author, I'm going to quote by Wallace Hamilton. He said, "People are training for success when they should be training for failure. Failure is far more common than success, and disappointment more normal than arrival." Isn't that true? Isn't that true? It's interactive.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for your response anyway. I think it's important that we see things with proper perspective. I think you guys I don't know how IT works, but I don't believe that every day you go into the office, you hit home run. I don't believe that. You have challenge when you go in, and you have you're going to have challenge and difficulty and every day, but it's not going to be a smooth ride. So it is important for us to train ourselves to look at and respond to sense of failure properly. So another experience that I want to share with you, I think in the early days, it's also a failed enterprise. Between 1990 and 1994, like I said, I was involved in the automotive aftermarket parts. Actually, Dr. Wong might know my partner in Houston, Texas. He's very involved in Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce. We were importing Japanese aftermarket parts, engines and transmission, because they have a very strict emission control rule. We ended up having a lot of those low mileage engines and transmission that we can bring in to the States. It sounds like a real good concept. It is a great concept, because over here that you have cars that have been driven thousands of miles, over 100,000 miles, but those engines and transmission are a lot of, like, it's under 50,000 miles. So it sounds like a great concept. We started that business back in 1990 and 91, somewhere during that time. The exchange rate between US dollar and Japanese yen was like 132 to 130, right around there. 3 years later, I think Japanese yen has an exchange rate was like 96 to 1. And unfortunately, the agreement that we had with the supplier was we paid our supplier with Japanese yen, so we absorbed the exchange rate risk. Needless to say, when your inventory cost went up 30%, just because of the exchange rate alone, it is pretty hard to survive that business. And that is something that we didn't see. We couldn't see ahead of time. Second reason for the failure of that business, there's a major transformation during that time with a financial product for automotive. Back then, if somebody's got a bad engine, it's easier for them. When we first started back in 1990, 91, it's easier for someone to save $1,500 to have their engine replaced because they don't want to get a new car. But 3 years later, besides the exchange rate burden that we had as a business, but also because of those new financial products, it's a lot easier for someone to walk into the new car dealership or used car dealership and pay them $200 and walk out with a new car. So that was because of the financial institutions. They have come up with a lot of new loan products to cater to those people who want to finance vehicles on their purchase. What have I learned? One thing that I've learned is there is always a variable in the business. There's always a variable. Number one. Number two, when you come to look at your cost of operating a business, you cannot allow any variable that is greater than the risk that you're willing and able to bear. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think it is important. Entrepreneur always takes risks, and I want to tell you there are two kinds of risks that I'll take today. After 6, 7 failed businesses, one is calculated risk. 2 is educated risk. Calculated risk is what? You know there's a risk going in, but what is the maximum you're going to lose if it doesn't go your way? You want to take the calculated risk. 2, educated risk. Know the industry that you're getting into. Whatever the industry that you're in, or intend to be in, study the industry, talk to the people who are in it, and learn from it. So whatever the risk that you choose to take will become an educated risk. So 2 kinds of risks that you want to take as an entrepreneur. 1 is calculated risk. 2 is educated risk. Besides that, those are kind of like a nuts and bolts, the mechanics of the business. But I think as an entrepreneur, the most important thing is how you perceive your business, what's your vision for your business. Helen Keller, a well-known writer, has once said, the most pathetic thing is for a person who has sight but has no vision. You can see, but you have no vision. That's worse than being blind. So as you intend to start a business or getting into a new industry, have a picture. Begin with an end in mind. You want to see what's the end is going to look like. And that is so important. Right now, every time when I go to a project, even I was walking on the bare dirt, I need to be able to see and visualize what the finished product is going to be like in my mind. If I can't, I won't do it. So it's important to see that, to begin with an end in mind and being able to see what your desired result is going to be. And it's important that, when I say that, you might ask that, you know, the industry is all new, this business is all new to me. How can you foresee that? But I want to tell you that it's okay. If you can't see, you must be able to see the end result all the time, but make adjustment along the way, because there will be variables that kind of throw you off the course. It's okay. But any given time, you want to be able to see what the end result is going to be, but you can always adjust along the way. I love this. It's out of the book that my pastor wrote. And I want to share with you. Visions are born in the soul of a man or a woman who is consumed with the tension between what is and what could be. I think what you're intended to do is what could be. You know, you're not happy with where you are today. And I want to talk about the overcoming. It's important to overcome. And the way to overcome something, you always expose yourself in something that you're not comfortable with. And it's the process of overcoming and becoming that will make you a better and greater than who you were yesterday. And you're never going to become someone who's greater, better than who you were yesterday without overcoming something unfamiliar, challenging, and difficult to overcome. So I want to encourage you, when you're in a situation that you feel like you're having a bad day, congratulations. You're about to become somebody who will be greater than who you were yesterday. And vision carries with a sense of conviction. A vision, what is vision? Vision is a preferred future. It's what things should be and could be. And you're going to be part of it. And it's important that the important aspect of a vision always demands change. And it always implies movement. And it requires someone to champion the cause. And that's what vision is all about. If you become an owner of a business, you're the one that is going to be responsible for everything. You can't tell your client, somebody who works for you, who dropped the ball, and you can't tell them it's his fault or her fault. It's you. So, you're going to be the champion. You're going to be the one who champions that cause. To make your business a successful business, that you want to be able to be that one that to orchestrate that everything happens in your organization. And I want to also say, vision has its price. Not everybody is going to be able to see what you can see. And a company like Dr. Wong, when he's leading his organization, I think very few people can see what he sees. He's the one who's going to be able to lead the charge and move the whole company forward. And a lot of times that a preferred future requires you to give up something that you feel comfortable with today. It's what we call trading something good for the better or for the best. You're trading a good life for a great life. And anybody wants to sign up for that program, I know you might have a good life right now, but I think trading a good life to a great life, I would sign up for that program, wouldn't you? Well, thank you. Dreamers dream about things being different, but visionaries envision themselves to be part of the cause to make a difference. Without you, what could be and should be won't be. And it's just that simple. If you're if you're the head of an organization, if you don't lead the charge, things won't happen. So it's important for you to be a leader that leads the way. I heard a story years ago that about a kid that is doing something seemed insignificant. So just picture this. A little boy shoveling sand and filling the bags, and move that one bag from one spot to another. How boring is that? A teenage boy that filling the sand into a bag, one bag after another, and move the bag from one spot to another. That seemed very, very boring. But why is he willing to do that? For money? Well, this boy is someone who you want to hire, because this boy's got vision. The reason behind that he's willing to do that was because as he moved those back from one spot to another, he's building a dike to keep the flood water out of his village, so it'll be able to save lives for the villager. And when you, I can tell you that how boring or exhausting that simple task could be for a teenager. It'll be pretty hard to get, when my son is a teenager, to get my son to do that boring and exhausting task. But if you add a cause to that simple action, it'll bring the why I'm doing it. It'll give a brand new meaning about why he's doing what he's doing. I thought that was a great story and pretty inspiring to me, because of every day in your office, I think there will be some chores that you feel like it has no meaning. It might be pick up the trash in your hallway. It might be some dirt on the handrail. But if you're the owner of the organization, there is a possibility that some clients is going to visit your office and see those details, and it might become the reason that he will or he will not be your client. So please don't ignore the details. Details is what make the whole thing moving. The next thing that I want to talk about is attitude. I don't know what you set your mind into when you walk into your office. job, I always like to be fast and be cheerful with whoever I see, except unless they screw something up. You know, otherwise, I'll be a real nice guy on the job. So for some of you, may know that I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again believer, and there are just some amazing Bible stories that I love to share. When we talk about attitude, David and Goliath, how many of you are familiar with David and Goliath's story? Okay? That's a great story, because when a lot of other soldiers look at the giant, they say he's so big that I can't win. But you know what David said? He said he's so big that I can't miss. See what a difference in perspective, and what a difference in the ways that you perceive either your challenge or your difficulty. And another story that I love is the story of milk and honey. The king sent 10 spies to the enemy, to the ground that is occupied by the enemy. 8 out of 10 spies saw the giants, saw the enemies that they're so strong that I can't overcome. But 2 out of 10 said that what they saw, they didn't see the giant enemies, but rather they see the milk and honey. They see the good things that when they went out and explored. Even though all 10 spies were exposed to the exact same thing. And as an entrepreneur, you want to be able to see the positive things out of a desperate situation. And I will tell you what happened in 2007, 2008, when this perfect financial storm hit construction industry. A lot of my friends who were builders, general contractors, developers, they've been in business for 25, 30 years. They went out of business. They did not see this perfect storm coming. And I didn't see it coming either. And the only thing that I applied, within 2 years, I think year 2010 and 2011, because lending institutions was all closed and the market was so bad, you can't build anything cheaper than what people can buy. So obviously, people will buy something that's already built, even that's below cost. But after 2 years, with a friend of mine, I got a call from a friend of mine that who was with the hedge fund, and that's how this whole thing began. You survived for 2 years, and we're being very diligent about where we go and what we do. But 2 years later, after 6 months, I think from the initial contact until we actually awarded the first job, I was about, I think, right around 8 months' time. And during that 8 months' time, there were plenty of meetings, and your resume is being scrutinized, and because people want to make sure that you are who you say you are, and you can do what you say you can do. And 8 months later, we were awarded the first job, and the rest is closed the fund at the end of last year. We were truly blessed during that time. But looking back, without the perfect storm during 2007, 2008, we would not have the opportunity in 2012, 13, and 14. And if you're not prepared, and if you're not prepared, I can tell you that when we get ready to start, I called a lot of friends that were in the business. They have changed professional already because they could not last that long. And one thing that I've learned over this incident was you want to have a good reserve. You want to have a good reserve in your business to when the perfect storm hit, that you'll be able to sustain it. And I'm telling you, it's still difficult. We're talking about 2.5, 3 years, nearly no activities at all. It's very challenging. So, but the outcome is, if you are prepared and diligent with the finance of your company, you will weather the storm. You will weather the storms. And you just have to prepare and always have that sense of crisis. I'm not talking about being somebody who worries about everything every day, but you want to have that sense of crisis that you are prepared to meet the challenge. So be prepared. Everything rises and falls in leadership. I think one of the great leadership teachers that I love, his name is John Maxwell. He's one of the most productive books authored in the leadership training arena. I love to read his book, and one of the books that he wrote is Failing Forward. And it might seem very strange that the title of the book is Failing Forward. How can you fail and fail forward? But after I read the book, I highly recommend you to get his book and read it, because, like we said earlier, you will experience this negative emotional sense of failure. You will experience that at some point in your life, and more often than you would like to experience, but you will experience that. How to be a leader? I think Dr. Wang will be a lot better teacher in this area, but in my construction industry, that I learned this: you want to be 3 steps ahead of your people, not 10 steps ahead of your people. If you're 3 steps ahead of your people, you're a leader. If you're 10 steps ahead of your people, you're a martyr. You know what a martyr is? It's someone you go to the battlefield that will nobody follow. And your destination is certain. One of the things that I absolutely love to do, some of the jobs that we have project manager in place, and a lot of times that, and over time that you see crew leaders and superintendent and project managers, they have different personalities. Some will call you every day for every little things that they don't want to make mistakes. So they call you every 5 minutes, and that's bad. You don't want those kind of people. And some will be like a cowboy. They do whatever they want. After they do it, they tell you, you don't want those people. The third kind, the project manager, they will think, and they will consider options. And this is one thing that I love to tell the project manager to do. When we have a conversation about our questions, they're not responsible to be right. And as a matter of fact, even I give them an answer, my answer might not be right. But I like to hear 3 options. You call me for questions, what would you do? What's the possibilities? What is your best? You don't have to be right. They are not responsible to be right. But they are responsible to think the possible solutions for our problem. And I just, after we implemented that, I think my life got a lot easier, because when the people in your team start thinking for you and for the project, your workload just got a lot lighter. And besides that, I can also tell you there are multiple times that they came up with better ideas than I thought. Better idea than what I could thought of. So, encourage them to think. I remember one incident that when we were talking about a problem on the job, I don't have a solution. There are times that I don't have a solution. And when I know for certain that my solution is not going to be any better than whatever they come up with, I have to let it go. I have to just say, I trust your judgment, and go do whatever that you think it's appropriate. And surprisingly and amazingly, there's so many times they come up with solutions that is truly impressive. And so, what I've learned, you want to give your people some flexibility and freedom to make decisions, and it's important for them to make decisions for you. And trust me, a lot of times when I say I believe in you and I walk off, the result of how the job turned out is really, really good. I was very impressed with what they were able to do. So we talk about vision, attitude, leadership. The last thing I want to talk about is being diligent. You want to be diligent on everything that you do, every opportunity, every lead, that you want to just follow those leads. And of course, I understand sometimes that, like right now, in the construction industry is coming back. In the past, we used to chase those leads, follow through every one of them, because we have more capacity to do. We have some remaining capacity that we can work, but we don't have enough job. But right now, it's after the construction industry comes back to town, that we have more work than our ability to follow through the lead. So you have to reach a balance between your marketing, business development, to your production and delivery. What I do is always we try to strike a balance because when you have too many jobs or have an order that is more than what your capacity, that can be a problem. In construction industry, we used to say this: your last customer, you don't go out of business because you lack of business. You go out of business because of your last customer. And it was so true in many cases that I know. Some contractor buy on something that more than what they can chew. So that's how they go out of business. I want to give you some statistics. You know, most of the entrepreneurs, they never get their first business off the ground, or the third one, or the second one, and the third one. According to the statistics, the average for entrepreneurs is 3.8 failures before they finally make it in business. I was a little slow. I went through about 7. The average should be 3.8. So keep in mind, if you're in the first or the second, congratulations, you're very close. 3.8 is the average